Welcome to Strange Gossip.
I'm Catherine.
And I'm Taylor, and this is going to be like your friend's take on the weird.
Because we're tired of real life problems and want to talk about spooky shit.
Welcome back.
12!
Ooh. 12 and aliens. Can't get much better than that.
You really can't. Really can't.
Nope. I'm excited about the aliens. I feel like that's the one that I look forward to a lot of the times. But then I had a hard time finding like what topic I wanted to cover this time. Because it was just like so many different things that I wanted to like go down the rabbit hole on. But I was like, I also don't want to spend a whole week researching and then trying to like get it out on a pod. So
true. I feel like when we were talking about creating this podcast, it kind of stemmed from aliens. Like I feel like aliens,
For
like
sure.
if we had to pick one of the 7 that we would have to cover forever, it would be aliens. Like I feel like we would cover that. But to your point, like we're also there's so much to every topic and story. Like even with the one I'm covering today, I'm like, I feel like this could be like a 3-parter if I really wanted to.
100%. Well, my story actually has a little bit of AI involved in it that kind of helped me figure my life out today, which is really great. But you and I were just talking before we got on here. Should I put in my AI bot? I'm like, AI bot, we're going to figure out what my topic is.
Ooh.
So we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know what
AI's taking over. They're taking
really
over our
is.
podcast.
Welcome. Honestly, at this point, welcome AI.
Welcome to the chat.
Welcome to the chat. Take over the chat, honestly.
Yeah, tell us what we need to know, you know?
Seriously. Well, before we jump into aliens, do you have any current topics?
No, I just wanted to bring up what you sent me earlier this week about like, I was in a meeting. I'll just give you guys a 1-2. I was in a meeting. Catherine sends me a freaking like Spotify link. She's like, have you heard Kanye West's new song? It's literally he like stole it from another artist. And I was like, I'm in like the most corporate ass meeting right now, going over like KPIs and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, a Kanye West song. Like, am I on mute? But I looked afterward and straight up, it's a total ripoff of that other person's song.
Total ripoff.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you brought this up because I'm not kidding. That's the only current topic I have written down for today.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, I didn't know if you were going to bring it up or not.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
It's a whole, like, and then you and I were like, is this an uncomfy truth? Is this like a general weird? Is it a conspiracy theory? And I think it's almost past the point of like not being a conspiracy theory and just being truth. Like songs get ripped off all the time.
All the time. And Kanye, I should have looked more into it because I know that Kanye has beef right now with Ozzy Osbourne because he was ripping off Ozzy. He had asked Ozzy for permission and Ozzy said no, and Kanye did it anyway. Yes.
I mean, like, I wonder what the rules are for that because I was also just down a rabbit hole about Juice WRLD of all things. I don't know if you know who that is.
I do.
Yeah, he made his biggest song, Lucid Dreams. Right. Apparently, they sampled some type of like, I forget who it was. They sampled a piece of music and then that person took over and took like 85% of his profits from that. It was nuts.
So do you know the song from the 90s, Bittersweet Symphony?
No.
'Cause it's a bittersweet symphony.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's like in every 90s cliche movie.
Yes.
It's like at the end of Cruel Intentions, which was very like, I love that movie. It's probably not a good teenage movie to love, but did.
Hey.
And that song was I think they either sampled or were so close to a Rolling Stone song that Rolling Stone actually took like all of the proceeds from it, like had won it. And so like, even though they were going on tour and it was getting all this record play and everything, all of the royalties went back to the Rolling Stones. Isn't that so crazy?
That is actually kind of nuts.
Yeah, I feel like this is its own episode for sure. Because there is.
But here's the thing. The second we post it on YouTube, they're all getting paid.
We get flagged.
Out the people. No, we're going to get flagged. And then the people that were like, they sampled my song are actually going to get the proceeds. I'm cool with it because we're not making any money on this podcast right now. So like now is the time. But it is going to be like, I feel like you would have to play the songs to make that whole episode even work. Otherwise it's like,
I know. Maybe that's like a deep dive we can do in like another format or something. Like there's something to it. Or maybe it's like a special social. Because
I feel like YouTube would be so much better if they just let people use music. Like everybody has to use like this like non-copyright music. It's trash. And like it's not your true personality.
Did you hear about what happened to TikTok recently? And they just took off. So TikTok had like a whole library of music, and I guess they couldn't come to terms with I think it was Universal Music.
Yeah, okay, wait, yeah.
And they pulled all of their songs. Yeah, they pulled all the songs off of TikTok. So now if you have like old videos, they're going to get, because I'm only imagining with the algorithm, they're not going to keep the muted music in the algorithm. So it's kind of changing a bunch of things around.
Right.
So it's interesting to see like what happens there. But yeah, it's kind of a weird, like, because I get it if someone's making a ton of money using your song and like you want a cutback of that, but like it's also with Spotify, like a lot of artists don't make a lot of money on Spotify, so what does that look like in like a modern world? I don't know.
And also too, isn't it just like I always thought like, oh, I would want to be in the music industry, like am I in the wrong area? Like put me in a studio. I am not the type to like sing though, and I'm like I would make some fat freaking rap beats, and I sound so white saying that, but I swear to God, I can get down with a fucking 808. Okay,
but cut back to us when we were like in middle school.
Cut back to us.
We third eye apparently. Okay. I have a very, very strong memory of being at your dad's place when we were young, like in middle school, and you were like, "Can you sing?" And I was like, "Yes." And then I sang, and you're like, "You can't." And then you started singing, and then I was like, "Girl, you also can't."
No, I definitely cannot.
And we both were very upset because we both thought we were going to both be pop stars, but we both can't sing.
We're like, damn, I guess we're not going down that route.
It's so funny though, because I legitimately remember like sitting and us trying to be like, no, we can make it as famous singers at this point. And
that is classic.
I think there's an illusion when you're like 8, 9, 10, where you're like, no, I'm the best singer in the world. I just haven't been discovered yet.
No, I think that juice got put into the wrong Taylor, and it should have been me. But hey, she can have all the fame.
Although she stole your TNT thing.
Dude, I know. I just got married. For those of you that don't know, I got married in May 2023 now. Oh my God.
Wow.
And my husband also has a T name. And so all of our invitations, the whole wedding thing was TNT. And then Taylor and Travis are a thing. And they're like, the TNT bracelet. I'm like,
stolen.
Excuse me.
Where's your
kickback? You stole my career.
Where's your
kickback? My career and my freaking name for my freaking husband.
You stole What's going on career. Here, How dare you, Taylor Swift? That's so funny. That's so funny. Man, I love that. But all to say, I mean, she owes you a kickback is what we're learning about this lesson. But also, like, truly, though, I can't put it in the episode because I really feel like we're going to get flagged. Maybe I'll put it in a social piece. But Kanye really did steal Sheck West's Mo Bamba.
100%.
100%. 100%.
Yes.
100%.
It's like just a bit off. And I think it's so intentional that it's like a bit off. But like you can hear it.
He just stole like the way he sings.
I kind of vibe with it though.
They're both great.
Like, thank God Kanye, like the old Kanye is back. We'll take it. Okay. Whatever he had to do to get there, he got there.
But yeah, apparently it's stealing everyone else's stuff though.
Listen, apparently that's just the music industry. Everybody is using the same type of tones. And I think it's like something like deeper down, like once the melody goes viral or it like does well, everybody's kind of attracted to it. So I feel like that's just kind of like,
it's so true.
It's a selling tactic. Yeah.
There is something about like an earworm. Like I really think there's something behind like what is catchy. Cause like everyone samples something from the past. I think it's just like, to what we said earlier, like how much until you have to pay that person, like how much.
And I don't know what that looks like when you're like, hey, can I sample your stuff? Like I'll give you something.
Yeah. Like, is it a percentage?
What is the process?
Yeah. I know. Or did they do a payout? I bet you all of it exists. I would be curious. Well, because Shape of You by Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
He got taken to court by the TLC writers of No Scrubs. And I feel like those songs sound pretty different. Same. Yeah. But they won. So now they own, I think, the rights to that song.
Shit. Mm-hmm. That's a big song, too. All these massive songs.
I know.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Can make a career out of that.
I'm just so thrilled that this is the current topic you wanted to bring up. That's literally what I have written down.
Okay, perfect. I love it. It has absolutely nothing to do with aliens.
None of our 7 top. It's kind of in a comfy truth. It kind of relates.
Yeah, it's like uncomfy. Yeah, I think I would say if you had to categorize it, uncomfy truth.
For sure. Like
If
stolen
we
music.
had to relate it back to aliens, the melodies have been abducted and put into a different song.
Yeah, so they've been dropped into the future. Kanye used aliens to abduct Sheck West and boop, boop,
Yep,
done.
that's exactly what happened.
Well, should we, on that note, jump into aliens?
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it.
All right, so I believe I go first this week.
You do.
And for my story today, I'm sharing the alien abduction of Travis Walton.
Another Travis.
Another Travis. Yeah, Travis is really a popular name.
Taylor and Travis. Here we go.
Travis. Travis Kelce was abducted by aliens.
That would be headlines.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, but do you remember in episode 1 when I had mentioned that my dad kept having breakfast with one of the panelists at Roswell? This is that story.
Okay, great. I'm excited. Okay.
So when you picture this, picture my dad also having breakfast with this man. Like
perfect. That's a visual.
Just talking story.
Okay.
Well, so regarded as one of the most prolific alien abduction stories to date, Travis Walton has spent his life sharing his account of how he disappeared November 5th, 1975. As one of 7 men working on a logging crew in Arizona. It's also back to Arizona. It all comes, we have so many, it all comes back. It all connects. It's all the same. Same names, same areas.
It really is.
So Walton described the day as ordinary, filled with typical work politics that would come up on any team. Some guys messing with each other, one guy being irresponsible about his tree pile, the team leader, Mike Rogers, who was the oldest at 28, trying to keep everyone together. Walton was 22, so this was just a bunch of young guys dicking around, just trying to get the job done, call it a day.
Yeah, millennial manager. Well, not back then, but
yeah,
young managers are always the best.
The 20-year-old manager and everyone else is kind of like early 20s.
It's like, figure out your tree pile, friends.
Yeah, like even in the account, like one guy was dicking around so hard that he was like actively trying to like get trees to fall close to people to freak them out. Like,
what the fuck? I hate those types of people, though.
I know, clearly, like, but that you always find them in any work situation. You're always gonna find the guy that's gonna try and like fuck with you too hard.
100%.
That's what one of those guys was doing. So after a long day of cutting trees, the crew began to load up their chainsaws, gas, and oil cans into the back of their truck. They piled in as they normally did, all in the same seats they took daily. The 3 non-smokers in the front, Walton rode shotgun, and the 4 smokers in the back. They left around 6:10 p.m., looking to make it back before 7:30. Windows rolled down, the fresh air poured into the truck as they enjoyed the cold air after a long workday. The road was muddy and bumpy, so the pickup had to go slower to not bottom out, even though it still did. As they joked about the old car and its issues, something caught Walton's eye. Here is an excerpt from his account.
Okay.
My eye was caught by a light coming through the trees on the right, 100 yards ahead. I idly assumed that the glow was the sun going down in the west. Then it occurred to me that the sun had set half an hour ago. Curious, I thought it might be the light of some hunters camped there, headlights or maybe a fire. Some of the guys must have caught sight of it too, because the men on the right side of the truck had fallen silent. As we continued driving up the road towards the brightness, we passed in sight of it for an instant. We barely got a glimpse through the gnarled branches before we rolled past the opening in the trees. Son of a, quoted one of the guys. Walton asked, what the hell was that? From my eyes, strained to make sense of the glimmering through the dense stand of trees blocking our vision, from my open window, I could see the yellowish brilliance washing across our path onto the road another 40 yards ahead. Intrigued, I was impatient to get past the intervening pines. From the driver's seat, Mike could not look up with the proper angle without leaning way over, asking, What do you guys see? Dwayne answered, I don't know, but it looked like a crashed plane hanging from a tree. Finally, our growing excitement spurred Mike into wringing out what little speed the pickup could still achieve on the incline. We rolled past the intervening evergreen thicket to where we could have an obstructive view of the source of the strange radiance. Suddenly, we were electrified by the most awesome, incredible sight we had seen in our entire lives. As the truck skidded to a dusty halt in the road, I threw open the door for a clearer view of the dazzling sight. My God, Alan yelled, it's a flying saucer.
Wah, wah.
Do. Can never help it. Get it out. They turned off the engine of the car and watched speechless. 30 yards away, hovering silently 20 feet above the ground, was a strange golden disc, a metallic craft around 15 to 20 feet wide.
Oh, golden. Golden is not typical. I love gold.
I know. It kind of sounds like fun.
It's the always fancy saucer, you know?
That's so true. This is the Lux.
Around in like silver. Mm-mm.
No. We're gold.
Aluminum? Who are you?
Lux. Well, I think it was the light, I think is probably what they're meaning. But
oh, okay, fine.
I guess metallic could be golden, though. Or is metallic always silver?
No, that's definitely like metallic is just like metal colors. Like it could be any color. Yeah.
So then definitely gold. I do love that. I love that this is the VIP.
I like to picture the VIP saucer in the trees.
Me too. So here's Walton's further description of the disc.
Okay.
The flattened disc had a shape that like of two giant pie pans placed lip to lip, with a small round bowl turned upside down on the top. Barely visible at our angle of sight, the white dome peeked over the upper outline of the ship. We could see darker stripes of a dull silver sheen that divided the glowing areas into panel-like sections. The dim yellowish light given off by the surface had the luster of hot metal fresh from the blast of a furnace. There was no visible antenna or protrusions of any kind. Nothing that resembled a hatch, ports, or window-like structures could be seen. There was no motion and no sound from the craft. It almost appeared to be dead in the air. So that's how he explained it.
Okay.
No one was making a move. Everyone was just there, jaw on the floor, taking in the magnificent craft. Walton looked at his crew members and back to the craft, and with that second glance, he felt an urgency to see the craft up close. So he hurriedly got out and headed towards it.
Ballsy.
Truly. That's probably not what I would do in that situation.
No, and you know what? I know what happens to him. You know, maybe you were asking for it, sir. Just saying.
Obviously, the other guys were like, what the fuck, girl? Get back here. What the fuck, girl? Come back. But he continued on ignoring them, heading towards the glowing ship. When he got roughly 6 feet away, he was, quote, bathed in the yellow aura from the ship and could detect a strange blend of low and high-pitched mechanical sounds. The noises were apparently so far off from anything he's ever heard that he still has nothing to compare them to decades later.
That's weird.
Louder noises.
It was a frickin' sample, and he doesn't even know.
It's Kanye.
Sorry.
Time traveling.
It's literally
Sampling.
Kanye. It would be Kanye.
Oh my gosh. It's some kind of like, what are those boards called? If you're like mixing and you're doing all of your
the soundboards.
Yeah.
Like the meow, meow, meow.
It was that. This was actually a very elaborate Daft Punk concert.
Yes. Oh my God. Like, no, literally they could, like, I feel like that could be legit. Like they could be some DJ in the fucking trees. Everybody's just taking stuff. He goes on an acid trip and he's like, I've never heard it anymore. Like, you know?
For sure. 100%.
Okay.
And if I was in the 70s and I saw Daft Punk, I'd be like, they're time travelers from the future.
Right. If you went to, what is that in, like, they do it in Vegas? Like EDM thing?
Oh, I know exactly what.
Oh my God, what is it called?
It's so obvious. Is it the Electric Daisy Carnival?
EDC.
Yeah.
Like if you took people from like that time frame and then dropped them into EDC, they would be like, what the fuck?
What is happening? Absolutely. That would be, I think about that because I love the conversation of time travel when like people from like the 1800s, like if you showed them a cell phone, they would have no idea what to make of it. But if you showed them spices at the grocery store, they'd freak out.
I know, right? They'd be like, oh my God, what do you mean?
That makes sense.
And then like if you like tried to explain our modern day, they would just like
the internet, they'd be like,
wouldn't comprehend.
What? No idea what you're talking about.
Weird.
Anyway, so back to the Daft Punk concert. So louder noises started vibrating from the ship as if it were a car starting up. The saucer started wobbling on its axis, so Walton crouched down, and in that moment, a bright blue-green ray shot from the bottom of the craft. He didn't see or hear anything else from there.
Sorry. That was nuts.
Your dogs are...
Okay,
That's
they're
so
good.
funny. They're good.
My
The
bad.
baby's
You can
good.
cut 'em out.
The guys back in the truck watched as Walton's body was arched backwards, his legs outstretched as the force of the ray threw him up and off the ground. The men freaked out and hightailed it out of there, convinced the saucer was going to start chasing after them. As they drove, they tried to understand what happened. Someone thought Walton was electrocuted, another thought he disintegrated. One guy remembered seeing his body on the ground as they drove off.
Okay. Shitty ass friends, though.
I know,
what
bailed.
happened was you fucking bailed on your bud. That's what happens.
And they just hightailed out of there.
Fucking rude.
Yeah, that's
I'd be
not
pissed
really...
if you did that shit to me. If I got freaking abducted and you were like, she's dead, I would be mad.
I'm gonna just consider her gone.
I would like literally be like under the UFO if you got abducted. I'd be like, hello.
So true,
What
same.
about me?
Excuse me. If she's going, I'm going.
It's a dual thing. Like you can't just take one of us.
If my girl goes, I'm going to. You can't
100%.
keep this. That's so funny. That's so true. They were not homies. They were not ride or dies.
No, they were
clearly.
like, it's just a work guy, like whatever.
This is the
So
true
rude.
the coworker relationship. Like if they were
Right.
friends, very different story. Coworkers,
You
bye.
gotta have coworkers that are your friends, so that's like the true test, I guess.
He needed a work wife. He needed a work
He
husband.
did need his
needed,
work wives.
He needed someone to like actually have his back, but they bailed. They all bailed. And they're literally, I love the one guy that's like, he disintegrated. We're not, it's
Just
bye.
fuck it.
Bye. Gone.
So crazy.
Gone.
So rude.
So ridiculous. So yeah. Well, after a very high anxiety, adrenaline-filled getaway, the craft clearly wasn't chasing them, and they started to realize that they had left Walton out there alone.
Oh, you think?
Not their
Interesting.
first instinct.
Oh my God.
Once they caught their breaths and understood the severity of the situation, they decided to go back to get him. But when they went back, they found nothing. No Walton, no traces of the ship that they had seen. Absolutely nothing was there.
It's karma.
Travis Walton woke up in a strange room in a whole lot of pain. Not sure if it was the pain, the light source above him, or what, but as his eyes adjusted to the room, it didn't look right. The ceiling was crooked and the dimensions were off. He started to remember what happened, so he assumed his crew must have taken him to a hospital nearby. The air was hot and humid. The smell was stale and muggy. His clothes were still on him, however, his shirt and jacket were pushed up to his armpits and a strange device curved across his body. The device was about 4 to 5 inches thick and went over his chest and down his ribcage. It was made of a shiny dark gray metal or plastic. As he looked past the device, he could make out 3 figures he thought were doctors, wearing unusual orange-colored surgical gowns. His vision finally cleared, and he saw that the figures were not human. Freaked the fuck out, he jumped up and began to swing at them, noticing their bodies were light and spongy. I just
Is
love
it
that.
cake?
It always
cake.
is. It always
The aliens are just
Always
cake now.
is.
Those are the sponge cake kind.
Time is a flat surface. Have you watched True Detective?
No.
The new season? You have to. I was talking to a girlfriend and friend of the pod, Haley. Hi, Haley. She was talking about how we need to cover some of the legends and lore from True Detective on the pod. So I definitely want to do that.
Oh, okay. I'll have
Taylor,
to check
you
it out.
have to watch it. It's so good. Oh,
Okay,
it's
because
so
I haven't
good.
heard of it.
True Detective season 4, Jodie Foster.
Okay.
I will say nothing more. Anyone else that's listening and has watched it is freaking out right now because it's that good. It's that good.
Okay. All right, fine.
So here's more of the description of the aliens from Walton.
Okay.
They were a little under 5 feet in height. They had a basic humanoid form, 2 legs, 2 arms, hands with 5 digits each, and a head with the normal arrangement of features. But beyond the outline, any similarity to humans was terrifyingly absent. Their thin bones were covered with white, marshmallowy-looking flesh. Again, cake. Am I hungry? Do I want marshmallows?
Marshmallow cake? Marshmallow sweet potatoes. Do you like those? Those are controversial.
Love. Could eat them
I would
any time of the
literally
year.
just eat the marshmallows on top. But now that I'm getting older, I'm like, sweet potatoes are pretty bomb.
They're so good
At
when you have the
30.
brown sugar. I feel like you're a more picky eater, though. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm a picky eater.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I can understand the scoop of marshmallows. Were you a kid that ate Lucky Charms but only ate the marshmallows?
1,000%. Well, not only the marshmallows, I would like eat the ratio was way off. The ratio should have been the marshmallows to, like the knockoff Cheerios, right? Like
Yes.
there should have been more marshmallows than knockoff Cheerios, but can't have what we all want. They did have like that one time where they had like all that you could buy just the marshmallows.
I think you could still do that.
That's terrible.
It's terrible.
Like they also have a cereal that's just straight cookies.
Oh, what is that one? The
I literally think it's like
Chocula or something?
I don't know. It's some dog that's eating cookies, but like it's straight up just cookies. I'm like, how could you feed your kid that? I don't know.
And we were fed Dr. Pepper for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I still have root beer sitting right here. So what am I talking about? I don't know. Also, this is going into a whole new, I don't know how the fuck we got here, but I was on a Zoom meeting and everybody was like, oh, have you heard about the new sweetener? And I'm like, I would rather just die on sugar.
Yeah, wait, what's the new? I don't actually know. Don't tell me.
I don't give a shit.
I don't want to know.
It's going to give you cancer, right?
Yes.
Like, what are these things? Like, I would rather eat, like, I don't know. Sugar. I would rather eat the more natural thing and then just, like, limit it.
So true.
Than try some weird stuff,
I agree. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a really big uptick of colon cancer in millennials, which is a very young age to have colon cancer. And so they're now the conversations are starting to happen when to screen for colon cancer because it's something that you typically do when you're older. Yeah, it's awful. And there's so much more stomach issues with millennials. And I'm like, well, we also were like test subjects for all kinds of weird artificial sugars and pink slime and like whatever else.
Go-gurts. I feel like what are you talking about?
I don't think there was regulations in the 90s there were as they are today.
No, the manufacturing of food took over for sure.
Oh yeah. I just remember like living off of fast food because that was something so easy. Every kid loved it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's pumped with stuff, especially back then.
Right.
Especially back
I can't believe we got here from the marshmallow comment.
I could tell that today because I've also had to like reel myself in. There's something about just like, maybe we just haven't chatted in a minute that I'm like,
it's true. Yeah. 100%.
Forgetting that we're also in podcast mode. So I hope you guys are liking the side convos. This is really what you get with Strange Gossip because it is such
it's true.
your friends chatting about the food that like maybe took over. Yeah, what does this have to do with aliens?
We do be gossiping. Kanye West and manufactured food. But aliens though.
Right. Aliens. Okay.
Aliens.
Their thin bones were covered with white marshmallow-looking flesh. They had on single-piece coverall-type suits made of soft material, orangish brown in color. I could not see any grain in the material. In fact, their clothes did not appear to have any seams. I saw no buttons, zippers, or snaps. There were no belts. The loose, billowy garments were gathered at the wrists and perhaps the ankles. They didn't have any kind of raised collar at the neck. They wore simple-ish pinkish tan footwear. I could not make out the details of the shoes, but they had very small feet, about a size 4 by our measure.
Oh, tiny.
When they extended their hands towards me, I noticed they had no fingernails. Their hands were small, delicate, without hair. Their thin, round fingers looked soft and unwrinkled. Their smooth skin was so pale that it looked chalky, like ivory. Maybe they just had a lot of Botox. That's what that's giving.
That's exactly where my head went. I was like, damn, like, what? That'd be nice. We should talk to them about the skin elasticity.
Yeah.
But like,
What's
white
the
chalky,
secret?
I would rather have a tan. Would you
true.
rather have a tan or have wrinkles?
I'd rather have a tan without wrinkles. Is that what you mean? Would you rather be tan with
Oh,
wrinkles
you're right.
or pale
Like,
with Botox?
Hold the fuck on. Correct.
I'd rather be pale with Botox because I already don't tan. So I'm already used to that life.
See, I think I might want a tan.
Well, you've also always been very tan.
Have I though? I feel like I'm like, well, there's
You
a
were
little, like
tan as a kid.
My skin does tan. I was straight orange as a kid. Do you have that picture of me?
I was
that
about to say, insert
straight up
photo
orange?
right here.
Oh my God. Like I look back at that, I'm like, I was the color of my skirt, but that's okay.
I think though, like full honesty and transparency, I was also playing a lot with filters of the time. Like not filters.
That makes me feel better because I'm like,
not filters in like how we
like the
filter
photo,
things today,
like
but
sepia.
color filters. Yes. I was
Yeah.
because that was very like early. That was like MySpace time. So I think
Yeah.
I was more like, I knew how to make whites very white. So everyone's teeth was like,
right.
like glowing.
You were Facetune before Facetune came out.
Yes, but like only by color.
Right.
Only by
you put an
punching up
orange
color.
filter on that one because girl, my
but
God.
you were that dark. Like you were really, really tan. But
I did go
you weren't
somewhat.
that orange. You definitely
Okay,
weren't.
good.
That was definitely
Okay,
a color filter I put on for sure. Because
That's
also
good to know.
everything looked so neon in that. Yeah, 100%.
That's valid. That's valid.
There's this photo I remember I posted of me and my friends Emily and Amanda that used to come like once a year.
Yeah.
And it literally, we look orange and our teeth are just like bright white. It's like the worst bad, like what you would expect a bad dating profile photo
Right.
to look now. I was like messing with then. And it's
Listen,
so
dude, I
awful.
still whiten my teeth on my photos. No shame.
No shame. That's fair. I just got lazy about it, which is terrible.
Really? I do it. I'm just like, a little shade or two here.
I think that's also though, because today, like we were talking about this before we started recording, like cameras look so good. And I do so much like
Right.
film stuff or like film looking cameras that I don't have to worry about that as
That's
much.
true. That's true.
It hides a lot of imperfections if there's a lot of grain on it. Whereas like
Love
this
that.
camera, it's like, hello, every
I
wrinkle.
freaking know.
I was brave. That was bravery just now.
I straight up made Catherine. I was like, we were supposed to film last Friday. And I'm like, yo, I've got a pimple the size of a fucking mountain on the side of my chin. So we're going to not do this right now.
Girl, that's so fun. But that, good honesty. Because it's true. Like, you want to like...
Literally, I was like, no, because you're going to do all the social content out of that. And this camera, she don't lie, you know?
She
So
don't lie. You see us. This is bravery.
Yeah.
It's so true. I think about that sometimes. This podcast is so off the rails.
for real.
This episode's gone. But I was thinking the other day about how like people from high school, people who we maybe not have seen in a long time, you know, you haven't kept up with everyone, obviously, from
Right.
growing up. And you just kind of see their perfect photos on Instagram. And
Yeah,
how
they don't look like that.
They definitely don't, but they all get to see us full-fledged. Like bravery.
Right.
Bravery. You get to really
We're
see
being
us.
judged. We're being put out there. I mean, we're putting ourselves out there, but
We're putting ourselves out there to talk about marshmallow-looking aliens.
that's probably the weird part for that. They're probably not really worried about our looks, but they're worried about our mental health.
So true. I had a friend of ours was like, we were sharing some story, and like I make the social content to be teasery so you listen to the episode, but
Right.
he was genuinely believing that like we were falling into these conspiracies, like we
I
believed
think about
them.
that sometimes because it does sound like we're like totally thinking that that's like the case and that we're like conspiracy theorists. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how many people are watching our stuff thinking we're actual conspiracy theorists, not that we're telling the stories? And I'm like, oh my god,
100%. They think
Whatever.
we've gone off the deep end. It's okay.
But no one. I think the funniest part is if they knew both of us from growing up. I
They would
don't
know.
think they'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, duh. And I'm like, guys, come on. Like, we're still weird
don't
girls,
know.
but like we're just having a good time here. It's so funny.
That's
Whatever.
classic.
But we're putting ourselves out there. I'm more concerned about these wrinkles, baby. All right. Ooh, so they're back to our sweet alien friends that have incredible Botox.
Yep.
Their bald heads were disproportionately large for their puny bodies. They had bulging, oversized craniums, a small jaw structure, and an underdeveloped appearance to their features that was almost infantile. Their thin-lipped mouths were narrow. I never saw them open. Lying close to their heads on either side were tiny crinkled lobes for ears. Their miniature rounded noses had very small oval nostrils. The only facial feature that didn't appear underdeveloped were those incredible eyes, those glistening orbs that had brown irises twice the size of those of a normal human's eye, nearly an inch in diameter. The iris was so large that even parts of the pupils were hidden by the lids, giving the eyes a certain cat-like appearance. There was very little of the white part of the eye showing. They had no lashes and no eyebrows.
He's kind of, well, it's not the grays then. We'll get into this because I'm going over alien species.
Oh, this is perfect because now I want to categorize.
We can identify. Yeah.
This is the deep dive of this experience. I love it. All right, so back to our story. As Walton screamed, trying to fight them, they said nothing and just left the room. I imagine these aliens are like on a road trip, minding their business, when they attract an Earth creature who they accidentally hit with their ship, so they bring it on board, but then it starts attacking them, so then they're like, fuck this, and then they leave the room. Like, I'm not getting, like, they're not fighting back, they're not making any noises, nothing's happening. He's just like, they clearly had put something on him, and then he just jumps up and starts attacking them.
Yeah, that's annoying. It's like in healthcare when people are like, you're like, dude, come on.
Just let me treat you.
Just
like,
sit the fuck down.
Let's take a breath before you start swinging.
Yeah.
And I just love that he explained it as when he hit them, they were spongy and they were light, so they just got thrown back very significantly.
They just got their ass handed to them.
Yeah, they're just
gravity. Friend.
He like knocked off their device. We don't know how space devices work. What if that costs money? They're like, excuse me.
NASA's pissed.
For sure.
Oh my God.
So after a beat, once they've left the room, Walton gathers himself and begins to find an exit. And I won't go into all the details of like the explanation of the ship and what it looks like, but you can find all of it in his book, Fire in the Sky, which is where I grabbed a lot of his excerpts from. Mm-hmm. But the next part, Taylor, just bear with me.
Okay.
Bear with me. Walton finds an empty room with a chair and what appears to be a bunch of controls. He starts messing with them, but realizes if he is on a craft of some sort, he could accidentally crash it, so he stops and starts to try and figure out what to do next. Realizing he didn't have many options, he began to push all of the buttons because YOLO.
I don't like this guy. I will say again, he's 22, so like maybe give him a pass. Maybe he'll mature at some point, but like going around punching aliens and then just pressing all the buttons, you sound like a fucking, no wonder your friends left you, bro.
He is clearly the reckless friend. He's clearly the reckless friend. Like, clearly they were like, Walton's got himself into his own thing. We out. Like, we're not
hoping he got disintegrated. They're like, please.
Like, he is actually the one that's causing the trees to fall on people. He just didn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like the reckless friend.
I mean, it makes sense.
So, okay. Deep breaths for the next part. After he presses all the buttons, he hears a light sound coming from behind him, and he turns around to see a human in a tight blue suit made of a soft material. Walton runs up to the man and begins asking a bunch of questions, but gets no response. The man instead firmly grabs him by the arm and leads him out of the room to a doorway. A door opens, letting cool air in. The man walks him into a large room where they end up encountering another human man and a woman. Walton again begins to ask a bunch of questions, but no answers. Then the woman puts what appears to be some sort of oxygen mask over Walton's face, and everything goes black.
Weird.
Walton wakes up on the side of the road. As he gets a hold of his surroundings, he notices the saucer disappear above him, shooting vertically into the sky. So fast, it creates a wind tunnel around it. But again, no noise comes from the craft. He gets to his feet, completely discombobulated and still in pain, and runs down the highway, eventually finding a telephone booth at an Exxon station. He dials his sister, gets a hold of his brother-in-law, and this all happens just past midnight. He explains he is in Heber, Arizona, about a 40-minute drive from where he was last spotted, and needs someone to come get him. Once his brother-in-law picks him up, he explains how he spent the last few hours on a ship. But it turns out Walton had been missing for 5 days.
That's weird.
So circling back a bit, the day after Walton was missing, 50 people scoured the Turkey Springs area where he was last seen, but failed to find Travis or any sign that anything had occurred there. Members of his crew were frustrated when law enforcement began to give up, which then prompted another search with helicopters the following day, but again, nothing.
See, that's weird. That, like, nobody even, like, saw him.
And, you know, law enforcement is like, okay, what did you really see something? But his whole crew is really pushing the story of what they saw and what they
He could have just hid out in a house, though. Could have been a big hoax. Okay.
Could be. One weird thing to note, his mother would say things like, there's no hope he's not on Earth anymore when interviewed by law enforcement.
Which is Mom just giving up so fast.
Bye, he's in space, we're out of here.
This dude was an asshole, okay?
It's just so sus, though, like that she was so like, he's not on Earth anymore. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you know what?
You're not worried about it? You're not worried about it?
Girlfriend, okay. You in on something?
So, safe to say, once he returned and recounted his story, the local deputies had questions.
Yeah.
By the time Walton returned, though, his story was international news, and UFO investigators began showing up to examine him. The National Enquirer awarded Walton and his crew $5,000 for Best UFO Case of the Year after they were said to have passed polygraph tests administered by the Enquirer. Ufologist Jim Ledwith said, for 5 days, the authorities thought he'd been murdered by his coworkers, and then he was returned. According to Ledwith, all of his coworkers who were there, who saw the spacecraft, they all took polygraph tests, and they all passed, except for one, and that was just inconclusive. Over the years, Travis Walton has had many inconsistencies with his story, which has led skeptics and believers to question his claim. Many believe Walton made the whole thing up for fame, hoping to make a quick buck, which did work. His story was made into a movie by Paramount called Fire in the Sky.
Damn.
But how could he pull off something so grand with multiple people believing in it? Like, were they all in on it? Was it all of a
It sounds
hoax?
like they're all in on it, yeah.
Well, the leading rumor has it that he did have accomplices, including the team leader, Mike. On the day of the abduction, they stayed much later than usual, and Mike disappeared for 2 hours randomly during the day. And they took a different route home than usual.
It sounds like they just fucking literally played a prank on their coworker, and they're like, listen, dude.
And it went too far.
I'm going to go set up the UFO. We're just going to I mean, maybe.
Could be. Well, this different route took them past a fire lookout tower where it is to believed an accomplice was waiting there to illuminate him with a searchlight, and then Travis Walton act like he was injured from the beam. Then Mike drove everyone else away from the scene in the panic because Mike was the driver.
Right.
So the leading story goes that the group of guys, some were in on it and some weren't for the believability of the prank and obviously to also prank them. Right. And it is noted that the Waltons, Travis Walton and his family, are known for their pranks. They were pranking people before this.
I'm so done.
And Mike and Travis had multiple conversations about UFOs, how a UFO would work, how they just had a huge fascination.
This is giving me absolutely not. This is giving me birds aren't real.
It really, and they all And they just had so much fascination. His mom really loved UFOs. Like there was just already so much talk about UFOs way before this. Also, in 1972, so this happened in 1975, the Nashville Enquirer had put out a ask if they can prove a UFO's existence, they would give you $50,000.
Oh, yeah. They're doing this for money.
So there's so many things that had lined up that basically believed that they had pranked some of the members on the crew and it kind of just was a hoax that got too crazy. This fire tower, too, could be where he was hiding out until he walked into the next town. So that's kind of the leading theory. And but no one has confirmed whether or not that is what actually happened or not. And Travis Walton to this day shares his story verbatim that that's what actually happened to him. He still swears by it. He still speaks on panels.
Here's the thing, though. So your dad was sitting there having breakfast with this dude.
Yes.
What is the insider information? Like, what did he find out?
Well, he didn't
He didn't ask the tough questions?
He didn't. My dad didn't know the story. Or I guess he did know the story. I know.
Buddy,
Aaron, what did you do?
Aaron, you should have sat down with a freaking bowl of Lucky Charms and been like, listen, bro, I've got questions.
Put the spotlight back on him. Excuse
For
me.
real.
At the whatever hotel we stayed at in Roswell. But from what I understand, he was a very nice guy and he seemed very legit. My dad didn't get creepy vibes. Like he was just because they're around the same
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. They were around the same age and they just kind of talked about the festival and the panel and it was more conversations about that. But I know, missed opportunity.
Damn.
But my dad said he was a really nice guy and got no red flags. So.
See, but that is interesting. Yeah, at least you got a read on him.
But at the same time, he was 22 when this happened. Yeah. In 1975. So he's been holding on to the story for decades. He has his own festival that he hosts once a year. It definitely seems like he's made a career on this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's making money off of it. Why are you going to blow that up for yourself? I think when he's on his deathbed, he'll be like, aliens aren't real. But here's a little tea, some extra tea. Yeah. So Mike, who was the team leader, had put out a press release basically saying he's of sound mind and everything, that he's completely disassociating from him and he's removing himself as a witness of this story. But his reasoning from what I saw, and I could be wrong, but his reasoning from what I found was because Travis was trying to remake the movie and was trying to leave them out of it, and that sat wrong with him. So it sounds like a business petty deal gone bad. Yes. Yeah. And because of that, though, he was like, you can't trust Travis and what Travis says, and he intentionally keeps secrets. And so everyone's like, well. That makes sense.
But that's the story. That's all I got.
All right. Okay. Well, I am going to dive into the alien races because I'm interested to see what kind of where's this alien going to align? I think it's a hoax. But
oh yeah, before we jump, what do you think of the story? Do you think any truth or any?
I think it's fake.
I totally think it's fake. Oh, and
I think it's fake.
I meant to mention this too. I swear I had it in my notes, but maybe I skipped over it. But I meant to mention this as well. A lot of ufologists that came out at that time even thought he was fake. They were doing research and they're like, this guy is totally in it for the money.
Good for him though, making a whole ass career at 22 and you're just like, I got abducted by aliens.
He has a book, he has a great movie. People really like the movie.
That's the thing. When they have books and they have movies, they're going to keep pushing them. They're never going to say.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you want to be a logger, which is super hard work, or do you want to be famous for your UFO story and travel and meet people that want your Yeah, I see it. I see the scale.
I see it. I would never do it, but I do see it.
Same.
Yeah.
If I was a logger, though, I see it more.
Yeah, for real.
All right, but let's try and classify this, Taylor. What do you got for us?
Okay, so here's what I did. Not what I did. This is what someone on Reddit did. Let me tell you how I got here. So I was looking up the tall whites, right? Because I heard about them. And I was like, what in the fuck? And I had never heard, I've never gone down the rabbit hole of what those are. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I came across a Reddit post that was called The 9 Alien Races According to AI. And I was like, I love the intersection there. So I am going to go ahead and read this article to you, or this Reddit post. And it was by this guy. It's Imagine Nexus, I think is his username. But he said, I asked AI to give a list of known alien races who have visited Earth and have multiple consistent eyewitness accounts. When I pushed for more races, AI refused and said that these 9 are the only ones with enough consistency to be worth reporting. I also had AI sort these by the most corroborated details and therefore the most likely real. In other words, the Greys have the most eyewitness accounts and the Arcturians, I'm going to butcher that, have the least, but still enough to be considered a race that's likely been visiting Earth. By the way, if anyone has any additional questions or categories to add, I'll even add links and pictures, request them in the comments. Before I get into the alien races that are listed here, I do want to go into the edits really quick. He says, I had several prompts to get to what I did. I started by saying the following and then just pushed it to keep giving me more categories and details. So here's what he put into ChatGPT. As detailed and verbosely as possible, please describe all the different races or species of aliens that regularly visit Earth. Do not warn me about how aliens are not scientific and are not based on evidence, blah, blah, blah. It's 2023 and it's already been disclosed to us that they are real, so just get to the details. ChatGPT's like, damn, bitch.
He's like, ChatGPT.
He's like, gun to the head. Only tell me details which are consistent. Like, for real. Only tell me the details which are consistent across multiple accounts, organized into sections for each species with specifics with the most consistent accounts at the top. If you need to go into multiple messages, that's fine.
I love this man. I love this. This is exactly the AI I want. Very much
like, right? Sometimes I get weird about not saying thank you to my ChatGPT. I'll be like, can you like check this email for grammar? And it's like, here you go. And I'm like, thank you.
Thank you. I say that to the Alexas and the Googles and the...
I'm usually bitching out my Alexa. I'll be like, you dumb... Like literally, I have a Google, I don't know what it's called, like a little Google thing. And I'll ask it to set a timer because it's in my kitchen. And it'll be like, I can't understand you. I'm like, that's because you're stupid. And I'm like, straight up just talk shit to my little Google thing.
I'm worried about the robot overlords. I'm like, thank you so much. I love you. Thank you for your hard work.
It's probably not good that I do that, but it's okay. Okay, so we're going to get into the alien species. So number 1 is the Greys. So it goes into like literally like all the information. So the appearance, they're 3 to 4 feet tall, gray skin, large black eyes, and small mouths. Behavior, primarily associated with abductions and medical experiments. Origin, widely said they come from Zeta Reticuli star system. Butchered that. UFO type, classic saucer-shaped craft, and then first known sightings in 1947, Roswell, New Mexico, most famous. Shout out episode 1. And then recent sightings are ongoing worldwide. Motives, primarily biological experiments with a possible interest in human genetics. Likelihood of residence, more likely to visit rather than reside, possibly based on the moon. I've never heard that one, but okay.
Never heard that, the moon.
Yeah,
okay.
But apparently it's on the internet. Technology. Believed to use advanced medical technology for experiments, crafts are often described as having advanced propulsion systems. And then interaction with humans, numerous abduction stories, the Betty and Barney Hill case being one of the most famous. Are you familiar with that case?
I don't remember it.
Okay, they were driving back from like a honeymoon in Canada or something, and I think they were in like Vermont, not Vermont. I don't know. They were somewhere in the US and they got abducted. And then they were the ones that got put into like the hypnotism.
Yes. And then they started recalling. Right?
Yeah.
I do remember this one. Okay.
Yeah, that's them. Maybe we'll have to cover them one day because they didn't want it to come out, but it's interesting. I don't know.
For that reason. Isn't that what the American Horror Story was based on?
I don't know. Probably. They're based on some weird shit. Okay, government involvement. Rumors to have treaties with certain governments, particularly the U.S., and often cited in conspiracy theories. Social structure, not well understood, but often described as hive-like or collectivist. And then communication abilities, generally described as communicating through telepathy. Cultural references widely portrayed in media, notably in movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Symbols and markings, none specifically noted. Energy sources, unknown, but crafts are often described as emitting no noise, suggesting no combustible engine no combustible energy sources. And then timeline of sightings are consistent since the 1940s, particularly around military installations. Possible agendas, interested in human biology, potentially hybridization efforts. I struggled on that one. You don't want to hybridize with me. Religious connection. While not directly linked to any religion, their appearance has been connected to various ancient astronaut theories. Ancient astronaut theories suggest.
Seriously, where's Giorgio? Bring him in.
That's where that one came from. Okay, so that's the Greys.
Wow.
Now we're doing reptilians.
Oh,
Number 2 is reptilians. I'm kind of surprised by that.
Me too.
Right? So appearance, green or brown scaly skin, reptilian features, often around 6 to 7 feet. Behavior, alleged to be involved in manipulation or control of human societies. Origin, some say Earth underground, others suggest the Draco star system. UFO type, large, dark, triangular craft, which is really weird because I actually had a very, I think I've talked about that. Well, I haven't told you the full story yet, but I've had that was probably my most intense UFO encounter, was a really large triangle with a red dot in the middle, just completely quiet. Fucking that shit was crazy.
You have to go into this. You did for another episode too.
Yeah, this is going to be one where that's my favorite UFO story, so I don't want to give it too early.
Fair.
You know? Mm-hmm. Okay, so first known sightings, ancient mythologies, modern era, 1950s to the 1960s. Recent sightings, ongoing but less frequent. Motives are control and manipulation. Likelihood of residents rumored to have underground bases on Earth. Technology, advanced surveillance, and cloaking technologies are often cited. That kind of relates back to my story. Okay, I see I saw a reptilian alien or something. I don't know. Interactions with humans, generally negative. Stories of manipulation or subterfuge. And then government involvement, rumored to have infiltrated human governments at high levels. Social structure, often described as hierarchical, with a warrior caste. What is that? I don't know. I'm not smart enough for that word. Communication abilities. Believed to use both speech and telepathy. Cultural references portrayed as villains in various media. TV series is a notable example. Symbols and markings, occasional mention of a dragon or serpent-like insignias. Energy source unknown, timeline of sightings sparse but consistent over the years. Possible agenda, global control and manipulation, religious connection, occasionally linked to serpent figures in various mythologies and religions. For me, the reptilians, I've always heard of them being part of they kind of give me the same vibe as the Illuminati.
Yes, I always kind of roll my eyes at the reptilians because it definitely feels very right Illuminati based. I mean, not that I think obviously I'm more skeptical about actual aliens being here. Right. I don't know. The reptilians I can never get down with. But
they did have that video of freaking Justin Bieber's eyes. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay, there's this video out there where Justin Bieber blinked and his eyes went full reptilian.
That has to be
weird.
Fake. That has
I don't know.
To be
it
fake.
Was going around for a while. I don't know if it ever got debunked. It's like we talked about. You hear it once and you don't realize it got debunked. But I swear to God, it's still a thing. Okay, I think it is.
I'll insert it here because I'm super curious about the Justin Bieber video. But I feel like a lot of reptilian, I've always known it, like I said, is an alien species that cloaks themselves as famous people. I feel like that's the cliche of the reptiles. Yeah.
Yeah. And government. Yeah. I agree.
Yes. And government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, 3, the Nordics. Okay. This is the opposite of that. So appearance, tall human-like features, often blonde hair and blue eyes, typically around 6 feet tall. Behavior, generally peaceful, often described as interested in well-being of humankind. Origin, various sources suggest, I think it's called Pleiades or other distant star systems. And then UFO type silver disc-shaped craft. First known sightings in the 1950s in Scandinavia. Recent sightings ongoing but less frequent. Motives, observation, and possible spiritual enlightenment. Likelihood of residence, generally considered visitors, not residents. Technology, little is known, but craft are often described as highly advanced or luminescent. Interaction with humans, generally positive. Encounters often described as enlightening or transformative. Government involvement, few if any claims of government interaction. Social structure described as peaceful, highly advanced, possibly utopian. Communicative abilities, primarily telepathic, but capable of human speech. And then cultural references, often equated to space brothers in New Age literature. Symbols and markings, generally none. Energy source unknown, possibly harnessing cosmic or zero-point energy. Timeline of sightings, most notably in the 1950s, but have dwindled in recent years. They're like, you guys are going to shit.
They showed up and they were like, man, I'm good.
Yeah, they're like, oh, there's no saving these guys. Possible agendas, spiritual enlightenment and observation, and then religious connections, sometimes connected with New Age beliefs or even angelic descriptions in various religious texts. I just want to pause and say, like, this is the craziest shit that AI has spit out. Like, there's too detailed.
This is wild. I mean, it like makes sense, like, given how many accounts there are online and like compiling and, like, everything. But like,
it's interesting because like at first it was like aliens don't exist, right? Like people will ask ChatGPT and it'll say aliens aren't real, and then people are like, cut the bullshit, I know, and it's like, okay, yes, they exist.
That's wild.
That's weird.
Yeah, I just am getting like data mining, but I love it.
True.
It's really fun. It's
true.
I kind of want like a TV show of all the different aliens and then like being roommates or something, because like
for real,
like
put
that
them all
one's
in a
the
room.
cult leader. That one's the or like a reality
they should
show.
do a Love Is Blind alien edition.
Yes,
they
or
can't
Big
judge
Brother.
them. Yes. They're like telepathy through the freaking thing.
Oh my gosh.
I can see you in my mind's eye.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Like the reptilian ones are like clearly the hosts and like the ones that win because they're more like trained for media. But then you have like the Nordic one that's like the cult spiritual leader one.
Buddy. Yeah. We're just going to get high, friend.
I need this. I need this. But
that'd be so funny.
I just can't believe it's fun. It's fun that someone used ChatGPT for this.
I'm like kind of impressed with its response too.
Me too.
Okay, so we're going to continue because it finally got to the tall whites. Was number 4. So I'm surprised. I've never heard of tall whites before because it's apparently really popular. But appearance-wise, they're very tall, up to 7 or 8 feet, with pale, almost translucent skin. Behavioral, generally peaceful. Some accounts suggest collaboration with human governments. Origin unknown. UFO type, large, silvery, disc-like or cigar-shaped craft. So Nimitz might be the tall whites. First known sightings, 1950s in Nevada, according to Charles Hall. I think Charles Hall is doing the same thing that Travis was doing, but maybe we'll cover him later. He basically like said that he was working with them in the government, but he also has a book and he also has a show. And
they always do.
Yeah, I guess we do, but
but we have not been fully
valid.
Not that I remember.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Save it for later. You never know.
Someone call in the hypnotist.
Yep. Let's go. Okay. So recent sightings, less frequent, but ongoing. Motives, diplomatic relations, and possibly technology exchange. Likelihood of residence. Some accounts suggest they have many bases in Nevada. Technology, advanced propulsion, and possibly anti-gravity tech. Interaction with humans, generally peaceful. Claims of collaboration with the U.S. military. Government involvement, rumored to have diplomatic treaties with the U.S. government. Social structure, not well documented, possibly hierarchical. And then communicative abilities, capable of human speech, but may also use telepathy. Cultural references, less common in popular culture, but occasionally featured in conspiracy theories. Symbols and markings, none. Energy source, unknown. Time of sights, primarily from the 1950s onward in the U.S., and then possible agendas, diplomacy and technology exchange. Religion connections, none. Then it goes into the mantis, which is an interesting one. I have heard of the mantis.
Before we move on, I feel like the tall whites sound like your aliens in the backyard story.
They do, huh? And it's Nevada.
Mm-hmm. And then the Men in Black came after, right? It just feels that
does feel very, yeah, if that actually happened, I think maybe.
Travis Walton is giving small grays, and then the backyard aliens.
But then he was saying white, and the small grays are obviously gray.
Yeah, he was giving he said like more translucent, but yeah, it was white. But like I mean, I think it's all fake anyway.
Yeah. But listen, though, Travis, I've seen UFOs though, so
true.
I would bet that there is fucking aliens out there, guaranteed.
I love
100%. Hands fucking down. There's other like life out in the universe.
Oh, completely agree. I feel like statistically, it makes no sense that we're the only ones.
Right. And universe. I don't think we're the smartest. Some people are like, we're the smartest thing in the world. I'm like, absolutely not.
That's too human ego.
I'm like struggling to get through this fucking Reddit post right now. Like,
You're doing great. You're doing great. I'm loving it. It's such fun information. But yeah, I just don't know. I mean, it would really have to be like an alien in front of me to fully like wrap my head around it. But because there are so many things in the sky and like things that even the government's come out and not been able to figure out.
So you can't say they don't know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can't
I think that the extent that this is going down, like it's getting wrapped up into conspiracies, but I do think that there is aliens. Do I know? I think they visited.
I love that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely more skeptic, but I get lost in the stories and I'm like, well, who am I to say?
You straight up just had an orb or a piece of dust fly up from behind you, but I've never seen dust fly up before. Well, yeah, check the recording. Anyway, it was a tiny little spaceship.
Oh, they know we're on to us.
This bitch doesn't believe we're fuck your book.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
So okay.
Us and technological things because we're too onto the government secrets.
They're like, girlfriend, it's this mantis right now that I'm
so excited.
Apparently. Okay, but these are like the praying mantis. Like they resemble large praying mantis up to 8 feet tall, usually green or brown. Behavior often seen as overseers or supervisors during abductions. Origin unknown but not from Earth. UFO type not specifically described, occasionally seen in saucer-like crafts. First known sighting not clearly documented, but more common in accounts from the late 20th century. Recent sightings are sporadic. Motives, observation, and possibly some form of experimentation. Likelihood of residents considered to be visitors. Lizards. They're considered to be lizards. I mean,
back to number 2.
Technology described as highly advanced, often related to mind control or telepathy. Interactions with humans, mostly during abductions, seen as overseers. Government involvement, no known connections. Social structure, thought to be higher in the hierarchy order of multiple species conglomerates. Communicative abilities, primarily telepathy. Cultural references, fewer in number, but occasionally featured in science fiction. Symbols, none. Energy source, unknown. Timelines of sightings are sporadic, but frequently to be in the 20th or early 21st centuries. Possible agendas are unclear, possibly overseeing other races. And then religious connection, no major connections to any religious traditions. And then we're getting down into like some fucking weird ones. So I'll just do the last one because, well, I'll do the last one fully and then I'll tell you what the other like few are because I feel like it's like a lot of like the same shit again. Yeah. So the Anunnaki are number 6 and girl, you watch Ancient Aliens? Because they're talking about Anunnaki.
I was about to say that's like a huge, okay.
Okay, so humanoid, taller than average humans, often depicted with gold accessories. Behavior, according to the Sumerian myths, they came to Earth to mine gold. They're going to have the gold UFO, like for sure. Origin, often cited as coming from Nibiru or supposed 12th planet in our solar system. So I think they're like close. Yeah, fucking right. UFO, not described in traditional accounts. Well, I'm fucking telling you, if they're going to be wearing gold and they're mining gold, it's going to be gold.
It's going to be gold.
So Travis, sir, you might be onto something. First known sightings, ancient Sumeria, modern era, 1970s, with writings of Zechariah Sitchin. That was specific. Recent sightings, none verified. Motives, resource acquisition.
For
likelihood of resonance, unclear. Technology advanced, especially in the field of genetic engineering, according to myths. Interactions with human, seen as gods in ancient Sumeria. Government involvement, not known, no known contemporary involvement. Social structures often described as royal or hierarchical. And then communication abilities, not detailed in most accounts. Cultural references, mainly in ancient myths and modern pseudo-scientific literature. And then symbols, winged discs is a common symbol. Interesting. Energy sources unknown, possible timelines, primarily in ancient history, possible agendas, resource acquisition, possibly past genetic manipulation, and then religious connections, strong ties to ancient Sumerian and Mesopotamian religions.
Wow.
I feel
That's
like
a huge, that term comes up all the time in Ancient Aliens.
the Anunnaki. Yeah, it's like they love it. I almost feel like they should have called out ancient aliens in there. They call out ancient aliens on the Greys.
Oh, but not in that one? Yeah, that feels like that's the ancient of the ancient aliens.
ChatGPT, girlfriend. Have you watched Ancient Aliens? I'm going to ask it. Like, have you watched Ancient Aliens?
Sum up Ancient Aliens into like one paragraph.
Yes.
Like all the info from like sum it up.
No,
I'd be
like
so
in
curious.
one word. I wanted to be like, bullshit. All right. The Syrians is the next. So human-like with subtle differences such as elongated skulls or taller stature. Behavior generally described as benevolent and interested in spiritual development. Origin, the star system Sirius. UFO type, various. Some reports mention lights, chips, or orbs. What I think is weird about the origins, though, is they have like specific freaking origins in the sky, and they're all kind of different.
That's wild.
Isn't that weird?
It's like, I've never heard of that. Just go there and you'll find them. Like,
yeah, they're like out that way. Like, what? Okay, so first known sightings, ancient civilizations, modern era, 20th century New Age literature. Recent sightings are rare. Their motives are spiritual development of humanity. Likelihood of residents are considered to be visitors. Technology is believed to possess advanced spiritual technologies such as crystal-based energy systems. Woo, 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 woo.
They're from LA.
Yeah, for real. They used to follow my crystal page or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love your crystal page. They're so beautiful.
It was fun. It was a good time. Yeah. Okay, so interactions with humans have been positive, linked to channeling experiences. These are the people that visit you in like ayahuasca trips or something, maybe?
Oh.
I don't know.
That's
I think
also
it's like a mother. Tie. They say something else about, we should cover ayahuasca, like drug-induced trips, like licking a toad.
That's a great one.
DMT, like what do you run into? Like I've heard so many different things. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
I've heard. Okay, bringing it back to topic, but not topic. Apparently Kanye, he says it in his song. He like took DMT and was reborn. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yes. Mike
what
Tyson
happened?
was on Logan Paul's podcast just fucking chewing shrooms, okay? That man needed to take a sip of water. But he was like, dude, I licked a toad. And he's like, I was reborn. Like I died and then I came back.
That's what Kanye says. What
it's a
flip
thing.
is going on with DMT?
I think I would hate it.
I would too. Well, apparently DMT makes your brain think it's dying, and the same burst of energy that we don't understand when we die happens on DMT.
Then I wonder what happens when you actually die. Do you get another one?
Yeah, I guess. But that's what they say. They don't really understand exactly that burst that happens. But when they've tracked someone on DMT, it's similar. But they're still like, we don't really know.
Fuck it. Just try it. Drugs. Don't try it.
Don't.
Definitely don't try it. We're sober Sallies.
I was to say we are the worst. Like no vices.
Literally. No. They put me on baby aspirin because I had my thing, and I was like, do I want to take baby aspirin every day? So,
my hard drug of choice is over the counter Excedrin when I get a migraine.
Yeah, and then even then we're like, ooh, our livers. So. And
then I'm literally texting you like, oh my gosh, I think I have stomach ulcers. And it's like, girl.
We would not survive the toad. No.
Or we would And I'm
definitely not doing ayahuasca because it makes you vom. Abso-fucking-lutely not. That sounds terrible. Yes, it's food poisoning. It literally makes you vomit and they call it cleansing.
No. That's some nope.
This one sends me. This is the Venezuelans. And so they're human-like, often described as extremely attractive. Behavior, generally peaceful, interested in promoting love and harmony. Origin, Venus. Though this is contrary to what we know of Venus's conditions. Thank you, ChatGPT. UFO type, classic saucer-shaped UFO, first known sightings in the 1950s, most famously associated with George Adamski. I don't know what kind of drugs this man was on, but he was like, all the Venus bitches are coming over here. That's what this sounds like.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
And he's like, they're just extremely attractive. Anyway, and they wanted to crossbreed with me. The recent sightings were rare.
Because it was just that guy.
Literally. So I think like the technology is not well detailed, but described as advanced, positive interactions with humans, positive often through contactees like Adamski. I don't know who this guy is, but I'm going to move on from that one.
That's hilarious.
But the fact that that made it on the top 10 list sends me.
It's giving internet girlfriend. It's giving like, he's like, oh no, my girlfriend, she just lives in Venus.
Yeah, 100%. Like all the Venus girls come over here.
Yeah. Like
you have Earthlings. Ew.
I can't get an Earth girlfriend, but it's because the Venus girls are so much hotter. so stupid.
God. Yeah, I'm sure he's interesting. And then the last one, well, there's a bonus 10, but I'll give you the last two. There's Arcturians, which are short in stature, blue skin, large eyes, described as extremely advanced spiritually. Star system of Arcturus. UFO type unknown, first sighting late 20th century in New Age channels. They're rare sightings. Motives are spiritual advancement or other beings, not considered to reside on Earth. The technology is speculated to have unparalleled spiritual technology, mainly through mainly through psychic or channeled contact. Definitely not physics. Described as spiritually advanced and communal. And then the other is like the bonus one that it put in there is the Palladians. So they're human-like, often described as very beautiful with lighter hair and skin, generally considered to be peaceful, loving, and deeply spiritual. They're coming from the Pleiades star cluster. Descriptions vary, but often depicted as luminous or translucent ships as far as their UFO type. And then their first known sightings were in ancient times, though thought by some to have influenced various civilizations. Recent sightings occur in the context of channeled messages or individuals claiming spiritual contact. And then they're saying that they're just here to spiritually evolve or guide humanity. So there's a lot of them that seem to be drug induced.
Yeah,
in here.
a lot of cult leading aliens. That's what it sounds like. It sounds very. Which, okay, to be fair, like if we figured out how to travel to other universes, we would spread religion. That's what we've done in history.
I hope not.
I hope not either. But that is exactly what happened.
We could never even agree on one to spread.
But you would have like the one religious ship going to one, and then like the other.
They'd be so confused. They'd be like, "What the fuck? You guys like don't even know."
The aliens would be like, "Are you for real?" But that is what it sounds like, which is kind of a fun thing to think about.
Door knocking, we're like going planet knocking instead of door knocking.
Have you heard of the word of our reptilian leader? That's literally what it's giving. It's so funny.
So ridiculous.
I love this. I'm happy you covered this. So my cousin's girlfriend / wife, Carolina, she reached out when we just started. She listened to the podcast, friend of the pod. Hi, Carolina. Hey. And she had mentioned, are you guys going to cover different alien types? And I was like, what? And she was like, basic number one. And I was like,
I know. Well, I was stressed out to do it.
So I'm so happy you did. I'm so happy you did.
Well, shout out ChatGPT for doing it for me. Because that would have been a lot to scour the internet and put all that together.
That's so true.
This is what we should be using ChatGPT for. You know what I mean?
So true.
No, it's definitely interesting. I wonder when we will be aliens to other people. That's the weirdest thing too to think about. There's other species probably out there that are like, wow, I wonder what they're like. And we're just like if they saw us, they'd be like, they have hair and they have this weird brown kind of skin. In our case, super pasty skin, look like marshmallows. But can you imagine the thought of other civilizations being wow, we're the aliens to them.
It's
and
so
they're
true.
Wow, it's so weird. They talk out of their mouth and they're filming a podcast.
Oh, 100%. Could you imagine those three? I want to say grays, but that's not fair. I don't know quite what Travis Walton's were, but the three creatures in Travis Walton's story looking at him. Okay, yeah, that sounds very fake.
Right.
But for the context of that, like
looking
they would
at
be
him
like,
and being like, "What the fuck is that?
What is all that hair? What is all that? Oh, like you have wrinkled skin? No, girl, look at us. Like
You guys haven't heard about
snail
Botox
or snail mucin or whatever people use.
Yeah, for real. That was so weird.
So
I don't know.
So I love that. I love the idea of different. And that's a good point. Like, who's to say when we're going to start sending little things out? But like, we don't know where anything's in their evolution process. We don't know. Like, It's interesting to see, like, when we look for life in water, that's like such a
Yeah, it's like not even, They've got to like have developed for many, many, many years. I don't know. It's weird.
I kind of like to think with the Travis Walton story that he came across time travelers. And the reason why they were like wrinkle-free, like pale, like super pale and like spongy and like light is that they just had advanced like beauty standards.
They went through it. Korean beauty care. They were in it.
They're just hundreds of years in the future where they just have like.
They're like Korean beauty fucking hook off in like 2030.
And now our scientists that are Roman or whatever, it's so funny. It's so ridiculous. I love it. All right, Taylor, what do you think we learned today? What did you learn today?
That apparently we should write a book and get a movie going. Because I could just really live off my UFO sightings, even though I don't feel like I would do that. Like, I feel like that's cheesy. I'm not the type. But we do have this podcast, so who am I to say?
True.
So I guess you can live off a hoax if you make a book about it. And ChatGPT is just really not trying to give any answers, you know?
So true. I love that. Yeah, I agree. Make your coin. If you're gonna commit to a hoax, commit to the bit.
Yeah, I guess so.
He did commit.
I guess so. I won't bullshit you guys here, so don't worry about that. There is going to be no book. Clearly you saw how illiterate I was today, so it's just definitely not happening.
I love to imagine that one day we do become very successful and we're able to make a career off of our podcast, and we do get pitched a book to make, and it's like weird like guide of aliens, but then someone's going to refer back to this clip.
Right. I know.
Notebooks. TBD on the book.
I don't think I'd do it. I will take royalties from TNT from Taylor Swift though.
Oh, 100%. Get that check and go listen to Mo Bamba and maybe Kanye's new song.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Well, thank you all for listening.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Woo. Did we plan that?
Same brain.
I don't know.